Chapter 4. The Abyss. Kabbalistic traditions state that Adam had two wives, Lilith and Nahema. Lilith is the mother of abortions, homosexuality, and generally all kinds of crimes against nature. Nahema is the mother of malignant beauty, passion, and adultery. The abyss is divided into two large regions, the spheres of Lilith and Nahema. Infrasexuality reigns supreme in these two large regions. The sphere of Lilith. Those who hate sex, for example, monks, anchorites, preachers of sex of a pseudo-esoteric type, pseudo-yogis who abhor sex, nuns, etc., live in the infrasexual sphere of Lilith. All these infrasexual people, by the mere fact of being infrasexual, tend to have an affinity with people of intermediate sexuality. Thus, it is not difficult to find homosexuality within many convents, religions, sects, and schools of a pseudo-esoteric type. Infrasexual people consider themselves to be immensely superior to those of normal sexuality. They look at people of normal sexuality with disdain, considering them inferior. All the taboos, restrictions, and prejudices that currently condition the lives of people of normal sexuality were firmly established by infrasexual people. We knew of the case of an old anchorite who preached a certain pseudo-occult doctrine. Everyone venerated this man, considering him to be a saint. He was apparently a master, and people worshipped him. Finally, one poor woman discovered the truth when he proposed to her a sexual union against nature, supposedly in order to initiate her. In reality, this anchorite was an infrasexual. Nevertheless, this man had taken vows of chastity. This man mortally hated the arcanum A Zeta F, sexual magic. He considered it to be dangerous. However, he had no problem proposing extravaginal unions to his devotees because he was really an infrasexual. Who would have doubted this man? Apparently, he was a saint. This is what the people believed. His followers considered him a master. He hated sex. Yes, he mortally hated sex. This is a characteristic of degenerated, infrasexual people. The most serious thing of all is that they consider themselves superior to people of normal sexuality. They feel they are super-transcendent, and they manage to seduce people of normal sexuality, converting them into their followers. In our mission to spread Gnostic esotericism, we have had the opportunity to study infrasexual people. We often hear them repeating the following phrases: "You Gnostics are selfish because all you ever think of is your kundalini and sexual magic. You are sexual fanatics. Sexual magic is purely animalistic. Sex is something very vulgar. I am a spiritualist, and I abhor all that is materialistic and vulgar. Sex is filthy. There are many paths to God. I live only for God, and am not interested in the smut of sexuality. I follow chastity, and abhor sex, etc." This is precisely the language of infrasexual people. They are always self-sufficient, always so proud in their feeling of superiority over people of normal sexuality. An infrasexual woman who hated her husband said to us, "I would only practice sexual magic with my guru." She said this in the presence of her husband. This woman had no sexual relations with her husband because she supposedly hated sex. Nevertheless, she was willing to practice sexual magic but only with her guru. She had an affinity with the guru because he was also an infrasexual. This is the saint mentioned earlier in this chapter, the one who enjoyed suggesting to his female devotees to have sexual unions against nature with him. We knew of the case of the arch-hierophant who hated women, and who often uttered phrases such as this: "Women, I thank them with my feet." He preached a doctrine, and his followers adored him as if he was a god. He was always surrounded by adolescents. Thus, this is how he spent his time, until the police uncovered everything. He was a homosexual corrupter of minors. However, he had the pride of all infrasexuals, the pride of feeling super-transcendent, ineffable, and divine. The sphere of Lilith is the sphere of great heresy. These people no longer have the possibility of redemption because they hate the Holy Spirit. All manner of sin shall be forgiven except the sin against the Holy Spirit. Sexual energy is an emanation of the Divine Mother. Whoever renounces the Cosmic Mother, whoever hates the Divine Mother, whoever profanes the energy of the Divine Mother, shall sink into the abyss forever. There they will have to pass through the second death. The psychology of the sphere of Lilith. The sphere of Lilith is characterized by its cruelty. The psychology of this sphere has various aspects: monks and nuns who hate sex, homosexuality in convents, homosexuality outside of all monastic life, induced abortions, people who love masturbation, criminals of the brothel, people who enjoy torturing others. In this sphere we find the most horrible crimes reported in police records: horrible cases of bloody crimes of homosexual origin, terrifying acts of sadism, homosexuality in jails, lesbianism, terrifying criminal minds, those who enjoy making their loved ones suffer, horrible infanticides, patricides, matricides, etc. Pseudo-occultists who would rather suffer from nocturnal pollutions than get married, people who mortally hate the arcanum A, Zeta F, and perfect matrimony, people who believe they can reach God while hating sex, anchoritic people who abhor sex and consider it vulgar and gross. The sphere of Nahema. The sphere of Nahema seduces with the enchantment of her malignant beauty. In this infrasexual sphere, we find the Don Juans and femme fatale. The world of prostitution unfolds in this sphere. The infrasexual men of Nahema feel very manly. Men who have many women live in this sphere. They feel happy in adultery. They believe themselves to be very manly. They are unaware that they are infrasexuals. We also find millions of prostitutes in the sphere of Nahema. These poor women are victims of the fatal charm of Nahema. We find elegant ladies of high social standing in the sphere of Nahema. These people are happy within adultery. That is their world. In the infrasexual region of Nahema, we find sweetness that moves the soul, virgins that seduce with the charm of their tenderness, beautiful women who seduce, men who abandon their homes bewitched by the enchantment of these precious beauties, indescribable enchantments, uncontrollable passions, precious salons, elegant cabarets, soft beds, delightful dances, orchestras of the abyss, romantic words that cannot be forgotten, etc. The infrasexuals of Nahema sometimes accept the arcanum A, Zeta F, sexual magic, but fail because they can't manage to avoid the ejaculation of semen. They almost always retreat from the perfect matrimony, uttering horrible things against it. We have heard them saying, "I practice sexual magic, and sometimes I manage to sustain myself without spilling the semen. I was an animal enjoying the delicious passions of sex." After retreating from the path of the razor's edge, represented by the spinal cord, they seek refuge in some seductive doctrine of Nahema, and if they have the luck of not falling into the sphere of Lilith, they then continue ejaculating the seminal liquor. Such is their infrasexual world. The psychology of the sphere of Nahema. The infrasexual inhabitants of the sphere of Nahema are very touchy. They are the ones who utter phrases such as, "Offense is cleansed with blood," "I killed because I am a man of honor," "My honor was slighted," "I am a wronged husband," etc. The Nahema type is one who jeopardizes his life for whatever lady, the passionate type, lover of luxury, slave to social prejudices, friend of drunkenness, banquets, parties, very elegant fashions, etc., etc. These people consider perfect matrimony to be something impossible, and when they accept it, they last only a short time on the path because they fail. This type of person enjoys brutality in sex. When this type of person accepts the arcanum A, Zeta F, they utilize it to enjoy lust, and as soon as they find some seductive doctrine that offers them refuge, they then retreat from the perfect matrimony. The mystique of Nahema. Sometimes we find mystical types in the infrasexual sphere of Nahema. They don't drink, eat meat, or smoke, or they are very religious though they aren't vegetarians. The mystical type of Nahema is only passionate in secret. They violently enjoy sexual passions even though they later utter terrible judgments against sexual passion. Sometimes they accept the arcanum A, Zeta F, but leave shortly after, when they find some consoling doctrine that provides them with phrases like this: "God said be fruitful and multiply." The sexual act is a purely animal function, and spirituality has nothing to do with it, etc. Then the infrasexual from Nahema, finding justification for ejaculating the seminal liquor, leaves the path of perfect matrimony.